Hello everybody, my name is Tamir, and welcome, as always, to KamenRider BlackMan. And today, we will be doing something sort of new today. Recently I've been watching the first few episodes of Ultraman Guide because I've been trying to get myself into Ultraman, see what that's like. And for what I've seen so far, Guide, it's not bad, but today we're not going to be talking about Ultraman Guide. Today we'll be talking about something right next to Ultraman, with reviewing Superhuman Samurai Cyber Squad Gridman, the current anime right now, which is based on the 1993 show Denko Chojin Gridman, and since then, and why I'm reviewing this today is because, one, I've watched the first couple of episodes and it's actually pretty good, and that's why I'm doing this. And it's out of this year right now, so yeah. But with Gridman as a whole, though, it's pretty weak. I don't know what it is, but because Ultraman is something that I'm a bit iffy on, but with Gridman, it's actually, I find it to be pretty good. And there are plenty of other shows out there that are just like it, like Kodai Hero shows. What Kodai Hero is, it's a sub-genre in tokusatsu where giant robots or giant protagonists, like Ultraman, go out and fight giant monsters. But today we're not reviewing a toku show. Today I'm reviewing the anime of Gridman, as this is one of the few adaptations of the original 1993 show. So, enough talking about it, let's dig in. First, I'm going to talk about the opening. It's not a bad opening. I feel, if I can be honest about it, it feels almost generic, like any other any other anime opening. It almost sounds similar to others. That's why I find it generic. But the closing, it's once again similar, but not bad, because I won't begrudge this show just on the music. But now, starting off at episode 1, Awakening, where we see our main character, Yuta Hibiki, waking up after being out cold for at least 30 minutes, and we learn 2 facts immediately about Yuta. 1, he's an amnesiac, and 2, he hears a voice in his head, and it turns out to be a cyber sentient being on a computer called the Hyper Agent Gridman. And it just so happens that Yuta is the only one that can hear him and hear and see him, since no one else can. And by the way, real quick, all this is happening at, which, it's a restaurant. All this is happening at a restaurant where, in the back room, where Gridman is appearing on the computer screen. And we also meet our second main character, Rika. And real quick right now, about Rika. Oh, I'm sorry, I apologize. Right now I'm reading from my script. I'll get my thoughts on Rika at the end of the review. But, moving on, or I guess I can say this right now about Rika. She's a teenage girl. That's the only way to describe her, that she acts like such a teenager. Which makes sense, because they're both around the same age and are in high school. And one funny moment comes up where they're both having an ongoing conversation, and she's pissed, but Yuta is confused, and it immediately reminded me of KamenRider Build.
さ、ふざけてんの？いや、真面目に本当に何も思い出せなくて。ふざけてんの？記憶がなくて。記憶喪失。そう、それ。ふざけてんの？トートにいるからには勝手な真似すんなよ。お前こそ余計なことして足引っ張んじゃねえぞ。余計なことってなんだよ。なんだこのエビフライ頭。エビフライのどこが悪いんだよ。悪くねえけどお前ソースぶっかけんぞこの野郎。喧嘩しないで。
Yuta also possesses another thing where he's the only one that can see the kaijus, the monsters of this series, but no one else can. And also, an eerie person is watches Yuta for a moment until he leaves. I'll get on that for a moment in the next later on in this review when I get to episode 2. But for right now, we are introduced to Yutsumi, Yuta's friend, and I find him hilarious because he's a straightforward guy, but he can loosen up, and when he does, he's fun, and they get reacquainted.
おい、昨日見たぞ。え？昨日響くんと歩いてたっしょ。男だ。
Yes, and this is a chair. And hey, that's a teacher-student relationship. Now, are we done with this episode of Sesame Street? So, yeah. As much as Rika's friends tease her about her and Yuta, this is high school, so yeah. Peer pressure's a pain. I know what you mean. Don't get me wrong. I know what you mean. We'll get there at some point. We will. Trust me. But this is all happening at school, by the way. And now it's lunchtime, where Yuta forgot his lunch and is offered some type of special hot dog by a girl named Akane. And more on her later, because she's actually an important character. And it's foreshadowed from this spawning moment of...
Dumbass! If you do anything like that again, I will kick your ass so hard, your nose will bleed.
Yuta brushes it off as it was no big deal. And there's this short scene where we see one of the bad guys of the show, whose name I finally remembered now, it's Alexis, show up. And I mention it now because it'll come back up later. Meanwhile, Yuta walks home with Yutsumi and they take a moment to talk about Akane.
新庄茜はね、才色兼備細胞良然の最強女子、クラス全員に好かれるという奇跡みたいな女だよ。内海もその新庄さんが好きなの？いや、これは別に近寄りがたい、ああいう感じなの別に。
I can't. Whenever I talk to girls, I have this thing where I unintentionally shoot out web fluids, and they come out of my hands like the wrong way. To learn more about Gridman, they go to Junk Shop, Rika's home, and Yuta meets Gridman again in the nick of time as a kaiju appears and attacks Japan. And seeing all that happen, you just go, okay, yeah, because people are getting killed, buildings are being caught on fire, their high school gets lit on fire, and hearing Gridman's voice, Yuta runs to fuse with Gridman, which results in him being sucked into the computer to appear and be, I guess, produced out into reality, but only in the form of the Hyper Agent Gridman. Now let's talk about Hyper Agent Gridman's form, the purple form. Like I said, purple's my favorite color. But what I see later on is something I'm probably more of a bigger fan of. But although I will always like silver and purple. But this isn't bad. Which, by the way, this isn't Yuta's form. This is actually Gridman. We don't see the actual form until episode 2. And with that said, in this form, Yuta can't hear Rika and Yutsumi, so they have to type out what they want to say to him, which actually gives him a power boost. And doing so, Gridman, he puts the kaiju in a headlock and finishes him off by karate chopping its neck off and finishes the monster like an Ultraman and fires a beam at him, killing it. So R.I.P. that necklace monster. Like, they win, and the Gridman Alliance is now born. And Rika wants no part of it. And this episode ends with the monster's neck still there. Like, ew. Is anyone gonna know? Isn't anyone gonna notice that? Because I'm pretty sure that's at that neck's at the high school. So when will the Public Sanitation Department of Japan take notice of giant monster corpses lying around their country? I don't even like it when I see animal corpse. Like, and I just saw a dead rat like a couple days ago. Ew. No one wants to see a giant lizard neck just hanging out. And that ends episode 1. Episode 2 starts off with everything back to normal, and no one remembers a thing about Gridman or the kaiju attack from the other day. And this is another thing that's also pretty weird, because there are some students that aren't there. And this episode is actually a lot. This episode alone, it's actually a lot better than the first episode once you watch it a couple more times. Because to me, I thought the first episode at first was kind of boring until something finally happened. But I don't know, but that's on like first watch a bit. But the second episode alone, we finally get something. And this is where some stuff actually starts off. First, we meet Samurai Caliber. Amateur. Next, we learned that some students that were in class yesterday but aren't in today, they're dead. And apparently, they've been dead for a while now, which means they've been killed at some point from the kaiju attack, which must have happened yesterday then, since they appear to be dead today. And it's all been treated like it happened a while ago, like when they were all in middle school. But it turns out, Akane is one of the villains. She's the one who's creating the monsters and killed her classmates. And next, she was going after her homeroom teacher because she bumped into him. And for some reason, I like that. She's a very petty person that which the bad guy of the show uses to bring out the kaijus. And that's about it. And it's like having a petty it's like when having a petty villain, it's something that it's usually treated as like a tone that one has for a moment, then get over it afterwards. But she, on the other hand, is fully aware of what she's doing, and she knows what she's doing because she keeps recreating monsters throughout this. And next she's going after her own homeroom teacher. And that's, I don't know, that's what I find interesting about her being a villain, because she's just, you piss me off and you'll die. But, and that's worth, and not that that's, I guess in this case it works because I guess she's so close to the main characters that I want to see it go somewhere in the future. Anyway, moving on. Now another kaiju attacks And thanks to Caliber, they could all hear Gridman, and now, first of all, Caliber just optimizes the computer so that they can all now see and hear him. And Yuta now accepting what he has to do, he gets the bracelet or the transformation device to use to now become the optimized Gridman, to where we now see his main form. And his main form is impressive, if I do say so myself. It's as close as to the original form as it gets, but more modern, because it's 2018. And with that said alone, I do like this suit. I don't know why, but I like the red and silver here. Because, I don't know why, I like the red and silver here. Where, as to Ultraman, it's red and silver always. But they do make sure to vary it in Ultraman. But in this suit alone, it's red, blue, and sky blue. And it just looks so amazing. Now I just thought of an Ultraman suit that I like this sort of color scheme. Ultraman Ginga. That's right, I do my research and I've seen a suit before. It's pretty nice. Oh, and Caliber is actually pretty useful as well, since he can also become the sword, the Gridman Caliber, and I freaking love how this sword looks. Because it's gold and black, and oh my god, I freaking love it. Once again, it's as closest to the original sword that the original Gridman had, but it's more modern, and there's more. Let me think about this. The original Gridman sword was more defense. This sword, it's more defense and offense, because it still has that one axe-like blade there. So props there. And so this episode ends with Rika accepting reality that they have to fight the kaijus and protect everything, and Yuta bumping into his teacher and not turning into a bitch about it. So, Anyway, episode 3 starts, and we have a new villain, Auntie, who takes the form of a small child with white hair, and Caliber is stalking Yuta and Utsumi. Yes, I know what I said. It'll come again in a moment. But this episode can honestly be simplified in 2 words, or 1 word. I take that back. This episode can almost be simplified in like 4 words. Not KamenRider Fies, because the running thing of this episode is that none of our heroes use their goddamn phones. Like, Yuta calls Rika to see where she is and doesn't answer, and she realizes she was wrong. Let me think about this. Yeah, because Yuta calls Rika and she doesn't answer. And it comes back later because they now get all worked up about it and actually worry about each other. And the reason why I say it's not like Fies is because they acknowledge of being wrong and realize that they have cell phones and can use them. Oh, and Caliber kidnaps Yuta and Utsumi. Dude, you went a day with keeping a low profile. Moving on, Yuta transforms and doesn't fight back because he doesn't want to kill anyone human, which results in him being assumed dead. Which, by the way, is Utsumi's fault, because Utsumi was joking with him earlier about what if the kaijus are human. And good God, when his eyes pop up and out in the form, like, when his eyes pop out in his glasses, it is freaking scary at first, but hilarious afterwards. And good God, it is just... I need more water. But on a serious note, Yuta and Caliper are assumed dead since yesterday, and Rika is just down saying we can't disband the Gridman Alliance now because Yuta wouldn't have a home to come back to.
おいガキ、何勝手に入ってきてんだよ。
Fuck you, Boar. The Neon Genesis Junior High students come in to say that both of them are still alive and ask, and even Max looks at them and asks, can you just call him? This show cannot have been written by Inoue because cell phones are cell phones and not just a standard morpher type. But Yuta is still alive and fights Auntie again with the assistance of Max, the one who wears the mask. If you've seen the show, then if not, there's a character whose name is Max, and he can access Flash into his vehicle form called the Battle Tracto Max. And this mech alone looks pretty damn cool. The colors aren't bad. The only reason why I'm not complaining about the colors is because, one, it's an anime, so I'm not expecting a lot. Or this type of CGI that they're... Or maybe the type of CGI they're going for. Either way, I'm not complaining. Because the colors actually work with Gridman. Alright, 1 second. Sorry about that. And Battle Tracto Max, as a vehicle, it's not bad, and you can clearly tell from the red on top. This is the arm day mech. As when it combines with Gridman, they become Max Gridman, where the tractor becomes the arms. They become like mecha arms, and so on. But Max Gridman, though, the arms look so huge on this mech, and I get why, but you also gotta understand too how it looks not atrocious, but disproportionate. Like, huge arms is one, like, those arms are huge. They're like, I guess, they're gorilla arms, to which you can also fire cannons out of. And so, yeah, like what I said, you get what I mean, right? You get what I mean. Like those, like, and he also gets a helmet along with it. So yeah, he has auxiliary. Let's just get this out of the way right now. This show is Ultraman with auxiliary Zords. Yeah, it's probably one of the reasons why I like it so much, but still alone, if Gridman didn't have any of these, I think I would still like the show, because I am watching Ultraman, because like I said before, I was watching Ultraman Geed, and am. But anyway, moving on. Max Gridman? Fine, he just has disproportionate arms that look weird. But Max Gridman's enough to get the job done, and Akane throws food on Auntie as a way of telling him, fuck off, you failed. Now, to episode 4. This is hilarious because Rika's going out with her girlfriends to see these YouTubers from a contest that they won, and Yuta and Yutsumi become idiots because they're being stupidly overprotective and drag everyone along with it, treating it so seriously. Like, even Bohr says this is dumb, and take it like a real case. Like, Caliber is breaking down doors, not laying low because they'll draw attention. It's like, I'm surprised they did not get caught, like, at all. But on a real note, Akane's there and is annoyed, so she asks Alexis if he can alter the next monster's mission from, instead of killing Gridman, to kill the YouTubers. And it does happen. 3 of them die, so RIP them. And only one's left. And of course they take care of it. But here's a good thing about this episode that's not just a comedy. The Neon Genesis students can't all go out and fight together in their vehicle forms because it becomes too much for their receiving to handle, and the computer crashes. And once again, they're all assumed dead, and Yutsumi is the one depressed about it. But Rika fixes the problem by unplugging her computer and plugging it back in.
You're a stupid dumbass.
So, Max Gridman beats the kaiju, and that's this episode. Overall, these 4 episodes are amazing. Like, this is a good introduction into the show. Like, we see these 3 archetypes, like, and we watch them grow and become less of those archetypes. Yutsumi is hilarious and probably, like, my favorite character in the show because of how realistic he is. Like, he can be serious, but also loosen up at times. And and if you ask some of my friends, or at least one of them, that's sort of me. At least how they see me. But I wouldn't go crazy about the eyes with Yutsumi. Maybe, I don't know. And I wasn't so much of a fan of Rika at first, because she seemed like she seemed too much like she didn't give a damn. And just cared about what her friends thought. Like, she's a teenager, high school, peer pressure and whatnot. Yeah. And just all these elements are literally from the original Gridman show from '93. And which, by the way, if anyone knows where that show is fully subbed online, I would love to watch it and review it for my channel, because it's like 39 episodes. And and I have something special to say later. Right now, I want to talk about the villains. Alexis as a villain, pretty interesting so far. He's pretty interesting. He is a but yeah. Alexis as a villain, let me get this out of my way right now. He seems pretty good. He appears to be laying low right now, being a benefactor to Akane's monsters and bringing them to life. So it's like a close Rita and Finster relationship there, which I would like to see more of in the future. Overall, I already liked Gridman because I saw like some clips of it. Like, I watched a clip of it online to where I listened to the original opening, and it sounded awesome. And I think, my friend Thomas, like, told me about how it was going to get an anime reboot, and I was like, okay. Then I actually watched it, and I was like, alright, wow, this is actually good. And so, I like this, and I plan to watch more of it. I plan to review more of it, most likely, since I do like this show. Speaking of which, coming up, and like I said, seriously, if anyone knows where the 93 show is subbed online, please let me know in the comments. It's like 39 episodes, so I would love to watch and review it, because it would be easy. Because it's not like Ghost Sager, which is like 50 episodes. Which, speaking of which, outside of the KamenRider ZO reviews, that is my next review. Tenso Sentai Ghost Sager. I will be doing the full show. And I don't know when I'll be done yet because I'm still I'm rewatching Ghost Sager right now. And so it'll be done and it'll be ready when it's ready. And so thank you guys for watching. If you like this video, share it and like, subscribe, tell your friends, yeah, pretty much that. If you like this video, don't forget to like it, subscribe to my channel, and yeah, share it if you want, because I do not mind, because right now, or at least I think this was just fun, because that's why I wanted to put out review videos to begin with. I do it to have fun. It's not my primary job because I do have school, I do have work, but I decided to do this just for a hobby on the side. And so yeah, I always plan to make sure to get my videos out when I can with the deadlines that I do. And so yeah, with that said, like I said before, like, subscribe, tell your friends about it. If you enjoyed this episode, please personally just tell me, because I would not mind doing more reviews like these. So with that said, peace. Guys, real quick before the video officially ends, as of recording this, it is election day in America, that is. So if you are of age to vote, go out there and vote. I did it this morning before doing all of this, and I got her done. Let's really make a difference, guys. That's all I gotta say. Hope you enjoyed the video, and don't forget to vote. And hopefully our future will be brighter. And that's about it. Now the video is officially over.